We typically run pretty big spreads. We typically hunt in bigger groups, larger groups than most guys, 6, 7 guys, 25-ish, 25, 26 dozen duck decoys between full bodies and floaters. We're running all AV-Nex duck decoys. Yeah, a lot of our fields are, a lot of our hunts are sheet water hunts. Like this morning, that creek's kind of a rarity for us. I mean, we have a few spots like that, but they're not consistent like our other flooded fields and stuff are. They're there when they are, and then you shoot it like today, and then it takes a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to load back up. And some of our sheet water stuff, you can shoot it, get out in a couple hours, and that afternoon there's 200 or 300 birds back. We spend a lot of time scouting. I spend a lot of time scouting, probably 2 to 3 hours a day at least. Well, I found these birds. They've been loafing in this spot for quite a while, once we knew you guys were coming down, I kind of put it kind of an ace in our back pocket. We're gonna run this first load out, and then we'll come back and grab a couple groups, boats, and a couple more guys. They don't have to walk out. So we'll run this out, drop it off, and get started. I'll have Mason right in the back, and he can get started getting blind builders, getting rolling. I was driving right here the other day, come up over this ridge right down over here. That bull and that buck was standing down here together. Well, we're trying to figure out here where we're going to set our blinds here, and we're trying to kind of cut our way into this brush patch here. Trying to figure out, I've only been able to look at this thing in the dark because there's been so many birds on
it. Yeah, we normally hunt a bunch of fields and stuff with a lot of brown grass and hide, so we got to get a bunch of green stuff that darken this thing up so it doesn't stand out so bad. So this is just a big slough on the back of this field. Birds seem to come to want to loaf here. Jeb's been scouting them hard and seeing that they're staging in here and going somewhere shallow to night feed at night and coming in here. So just on a steep cut bank on a steep slough. Had to pull all the long lines out and do everything we could to try to get a spread in here, but
for a while. I think it's pretty wide right here. Yeah, this is kind of the widest spot other than the corner down there. So it ought to be, they've been landing there's a spot down here they land, they've been landing here, and then there's a spot up there. Kill him! These birds are all taken off out of here at night. Thousands of them taken off at night. In the morning, they come back in from their feeding ponds. And that's another bonus in this area where we're at here. There's not a lot of sand, so the birds, if they're getting any type of grain, seeds, whatever out of the field, right up in the crop, they got to go find something to do that with. And that's a pretty good spot they do it. a part of that.
Nice shot, Steve.
Whoever shot that last one. I shot the last one. That was awesome.
I did too.
I was shooting.
My bird! I was like on it and it dropped. I'm like, oh. You know, they're getting used to getting shot at, so they get shot at. They get up in the morning before shoot light and go to a loafing spot before shooting light, and it doesn't get hunted. You know, it's kind of like they use that spot we hunted this morning was almost like a personal refuge. You know, we've been letting them build in there, and then, you know, obviously today was not a good day for them.
Sucking around.
We shoot a lot of widgeon. The widgeon of kind of the last few years has been different than the past. I mean, we used to shoot piles and piles and piles of widgeon. You know, we'd go out with a 5-man or 6-man and we would shoot 4 or 5 mallards and the rest widgeon. And, you know, a handful of pintail. And over the last 4 or 5 years, they've kind of flip-flopped. This year especially, we've shot a lot more mallards, whether it's just the year. I know the widgeon numbers are down a little bit, but really didn't think we'd see it like I feel like we have this year. They've kind of showed up here at the end, but we haven't had our typical winter. We had a pretty dry fall late, and then it got cold and dry. And we had one good stretch before Christmas where we had quite a bit of rain. We were burning them pretty hard during that stretch, and then it went to fog and stale weather, and that's made it real challenging. For the last 2 weeks, it's been stale weather. Now, there was 3 or 4 days this week. You couldn't even scout because you couldn't see out 50 yards off the side of the road, which is not normal. You know, normally we get January, it's raining 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch a day. And we got sheet water everywhere, and there's ducks everywhere getting blown in off the coast and stuff like that. But we've shot a lot more mallards this year, which a guy can't complain about.
Coming back.
Line him up. Kill him.
So what'd you think, man?
Pretty good one, man. 2 hours and 8 limits. Not bad. We'll take it. So this bird was a radio transmitted lesser that we killed years ago. The bird come off the Anchorage, Alaska airport, and they moved him down, and it was surgically implanted up underneath his flank, and it should have had a antenna hanging off it, but it did not. The bird had chewed it off, so that's pretty neat when you kill that kind of stuff.